verse number 31. Avidyakam shariradi drishyam vodbudavat etad vilakshanam vidyat aham brahmeti nirmalam. Avidyakam, up to the causal body, shariradi, body, and so on. Drishyam means perceived object. Budvudavat, as bubbles. Ksharam, perishable. Etad vilakshanam, different from all these. Vidyat, realize. Aham Brahma, I am Brahman. Thus, iti means thus, nirmalam, pure. The body and so on, up to the causal body, means ignorance, are objects perceived, and thus they are as perishable as bubbles. Realize through discrimination that I am ever the pure Brahman, entirely different from all these. So if we see in prose order, we will see how beautiful that sloka. Budvavat ksharam avidyakam shariradi drishyam. Budvavat ksharam avidyakam shariradi drishyam. Etad vilakshanam nirmalam brahma ahamasmi. Etad vilakshanam nirmalam brahma ahamasmi iti vidyat. The same thing in Bhagavad Gita we get in 4th chapter, 35th sloka. There, Bhagavan is telling, Yad gatva na punarmoham evam yasyasi pandava. After having this knowledge, you will not be deluded like previous you used to be deluded. So, it is another way to negating the conditionings. Because previously we saw neti neti iti vakyatah. Here, avidyakam shariradi drishyam, using those phrases, it is another way to negate the conditioning. Shariradi, adi means etc. So here, shariradi means three sharira, three bodies. Sharira means bodies. Gross body, subtle body, and causal body. Or gross universe, subtle universe, and causal universe. Means ajnanam or ignorance. Anything which is born out of ignorance is avidyakam. Anything. My body also has born out of ignorance. Ignorance of what? Ignorance of my infinitude. Anything is born out of ignorance is drishyam. Avidyakam shariradi drishyam. It was the thing. Means anything is born out of ignorance is drishyam. Here drishyam means experienced. Not only by eyes, drishyam means only seeing. No, no. Experienced by anything else. The whole universe is nothing but the projection out of ignorance. So we can come into that conclusion that yat drishyam tad avidyakam tad mithya yatha sarpa. So what is perceived, what is experienced, happiness, sorrow, joy, anger, jealousy, or in gross way, tree, mountains, river, anything else. Whatever is experienced or perceived, that is avidyakam, out of ignorance, and it is mithya, unreal, like the appearance of snake on the rope. Why it is mithya or unreal? Because it is impermanent. Remember about verse number 6 of this very text. Sakale satyavat bhati prabodhe sati keva. It is not dependent on my experience only. If there is anything else which is experienced by Indra Bhagavan, the king of the all gods and goddesses, then also that experienced thing is mithya. Not only Indra Bhagavan, if anything else is experienced by amoeba or an ant, then the pipre means the chiti, the ant is pramata, knower. Ahankara also is mithya because it is the drishyam of sakshi. Ahankara is perceived by the chidabhasa or sakshi, ultimate sakshi or jivatma. Because atma is avasthatraya sakshi. What we call atma, the ultimate seer, is the seer of three states of reality: Vishwam, Taijasa, and Prajna. And all three are mithya. Means whatever is the object of experience is mithya. That you should know clearly. Either it is experienced by ahankara or by sakshi. Everything else is mithya. If you know that I am suffering, means you are not suffering. Because you are the knower of your suffering. if I know that, if I know the pot, that I am, then I am not the pot, I am the knower of the pot. Suppose this mobile phone, computer, can you claim I am mobile phone or I am the laptop? Of course not. Because I see it, I experience it. So whenever I know the pot, it proves that I am not the pot. Suppose there is a suffering in your samsara, in your body. If you know that there is a suffering, I am suffering, then you are not suffering because you are the knower of your suffering. Who listen to the Vedanta and who understand the Vedanta actually, they never get hurt. This thing. Who can really understand this truth, that when I know that I am suffering, that then I am not suffering. Who really understand this reality and abide in it, who can hurt him? You know, ahankara is so subtle. Sometimes anyone meditated that I am not the doer, 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 I am not the enjoyer, I am not the enjoyer. Okay. Negated everything else in the meditation. Then when he came up from the meditation and claimed, oh, what a beautiful meditation I did. Claimed the ownership of the meditation. Clear. So then and there we should discriminate. Who is claiming? Experience is like the bubbles. And it's ksharam. Ksharam means what goes away. This has a very nice Sanskrit terminology. It is called drishta nashta swabhavaha. Drishta nashta swabhavaha. And why we are studying all those things? For vairagyam. Should know aham brahma. Aham nirmalam. I am ever pure. I am infinite. Infinite Brahman. In Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, 3rd chapter, 4th section, no, 1st chapter, 4th section, and mantra number 4, it is there. That Aham Brahmasmi. What is the mantra? Brahmava idam agra asit atmanam eva aveda aham brahmasmi iti tasmat tat sarvam avadatyadyo yo devanam pratyabudhyata sa eva tadavavat tadasnanam.
पापा रेडी हो गए डॉक्टर के जाने के लिए और
So, this is the thing. This we get in Brihadaranya Upanishad. Clear? So, this sloka is putting forth logic for logical negation, negation of gross body and sense organs. And negation means from the absolute standpoint. And mithya means who has no any independent standpoint. No any independent standpoint. The 5 layers of matter we explained earlier, that they are all the vehicles for the expression of life. The gross, subtle, and causal bodies are all conditionings through which the consciousness, through a process of identification, expresses itself as an experiencer in the different planes of consciousness. See, to live and act as I am the body is our body identification. During an identification, the subject forgets his own real nature and projects upon himself the nature of some other person or thing, and hence suffers or enjoys its sorrows and joys. An avasthatraya sakshi means who knows waking state, dream state, and deep sleep state as consciousness. The self identifying with the gross body becomes the waker. Who experiences the waking state and the same self when it shifts its identifications entirely to the subtle body becomes the dreamer. The dreamer lives his dreams and gathers his experiences of the dream world's multiplicity. When the self, which has thus played the part of the waker and the dreamer, withdraws itself and identifies with the causal body, it again acquires the attitude of the sleeper and comes to enjoy the total negation of the multiple experiences enjoyed or suffered during the earlier planes of consciousness, namely the waking and the dream. Identifying with the gross, subtle, and causal bodies, if the self becomes the waker, the dreamer, and the deep sleeper, respectively, then the self in itself must be something other than its manifestations in these 3 states. The verse under discussion asserts this very fact, and the seekers are asked to rediscover the self which is other than the perishable matter envelopments through a close subjective realization. It is only through discrimination that I must undo the evil and realize that which is perceived or brought within the field of my perceptions, feelings, and comprehensions must be different from the perceiver, means sense organs, or the feeler, means mind, and the comprehending faculty, means intellect. The divine spark within me is the one illuminator which illumines each and every one of these objects. Things illumined are always different from the illuminator. Thus, the objects recognized by me are certainly different from the pure self within me, the eternal subject, the eternal subject. Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat.